After many days hiding in the damp forest, the primitive tribe found shelter within the heart of the rock. But the last warmth of the fire was slowly fading. The fire dimmed, smoke thickened in the cave. Primitive people clung to the heat surrounding their frail bodies. They crushed leaves, smeared them on their skin, mixing sweat and mud to stay warm. Heavy breaths, chests rising slowly. The whole tribe sat still, eyes following each breath. No one spoke. Fire was breath itself. If it died, the cold would claim the cave. They added wood, fanned smoke, guarding the faint light that remained. In the darkness, human breath and Earth's breath blended their way of fighting death drawing near. In the forest, the primitives moved slowly, eyes scanning far, ears catching every sound. Each step had to blend with the wind. When a dry branch snapped, the sound rang out, and the prey fled. They knew that sound meant failure, the tribe's empty stomach. The hunter looked up, shouted, and threw his spear. The tip struck the ground, not flesh. He punched a tree until blood ran from his hand, driving out rage and hunger. In the forest, one wrong sound could cost the tribe an entire day of life. When hunting failed, when a companion still gasped for breath, the primitives turned again to leaves and forest relics. Dry leaves were placed on the chest, porcupine quills beside them. They didn't know why, only that doing so had once helped another breathe again. The tribe sat in a circle, breath mingling with smoke. Eyes fixed on leaves, on the still body. They waited for stronger breath, chest rising once more. Each trembling hand moved closer to the fire, keeping warmth for the living, and for themselves. The elder drew on the ground, from the weak body to the quill, then pointed toward the far mountain. The tribe understood they must go. In the cave, smoke thickened, firelight flickered on fearful faces. All eyes followed the finger pointing where the moon shone. Beyond lay the thornfields and the scent of stronger beasts. But staying meant death. They looked at each other in silence. In their minds was only the path the elder had drawn. When moonlight touched the tip of the quill, the tribe understood the forest was forcing them to leave. Inside the cave, the fire waned. Primitives sat facing one another, soundless. The light cast on two males, one young, one scarred. Between them, a body breathed weakly, the rasp drowning the crackle of wood. The scarred one's eyes fixed on the quill lying on the ground. His hand gripped his scar, shoulders trembling. The young one clenched his spear, breath tight. The tribe sat still, waiting for a sign of life. In the cave, smoke, human scent, and heartbeats merged like the trembling of the earth. The young one stood, walked to the wall. Picking up a sharp stone, he carved deep into the rock. The scritch echoed steadily, white dust falling to his feet. He carved people, mountains, directions. Each stroke spoke in place of a roar. The tribe watched, firelight reflecting on new carvings, brighter than the old. The scarred one sat still, eyes fixed on the wall. None fully understood, but all knew the young one was showing mistakes and the way forward. The cave became a place where silence spoke for the tribe. The young one turned, lifted the spear, and stepped before the scarred one. Two bodies faced each other, fire between them. The tribe watched, unmoving. He raised the spear, then released it. The tip struck stone with a dry sound that filled the cave. That sound was heavy, like a blow to the earth. The young one turned away, fading into darkness. The tribe was silent, only wind blowing through the cave's mouth. The spear lay on the ground, firelight sweeping across its wooden shaft. Amid smoke, ash, and sweat, the line between obedience and defiance blurred. The scarred one sat still, staring at the spear. Firelight flickered across his face, flames dancing in his eyes. When the faint breath of the fallen sounded again, he reached out, touching the wood. His hand trembled, then tightened. Dust and old blood clung to the shaft, cold but heavy. He rose, gripping the spear. The tribe watched, silent. Light glinted on the new carvings. One figure turned away, another walking toward the mountains. The tribe understood the spear had been lifted again, and the next act would no longer belong to one alone. two primitives crossed the hard, dry ground. The wind carried the scent of dead soil, no insects, no moisture. They stopped at the valley's edge where the earth cracked, leaving only dust and large footprints. The leader gripped his spear, eyes scanning like a wary beast. The other raised his hand, signaling onward. The tribe moved slowly, backs bent, stepping with the wind. No one spoke. Each step on cracked ground was a trial. They entered the land without sound, only breath and the heat of stone. Primitives stopped by deep pits scattered across the land. Dried mud split open, releasing a sharp, earthy smell. One knelt, touched a large track, then pointed to where giant quills were stuck slanted in rotten wood. He knew the mark of the great porcupine that had killed. He smeared mud on his skin to hide scent, nodding for the others to follow. Movements repeated smear, coat, hold breath. When all were covered in mud, he drew in the dust footprints, a trailing line, a direction. No words, only gestures. The tribe moved deeper into the hollow. A white deer's corpse was pinned by giant quills, bones bent, earth sunken. The primitives crouched, staring, stepping back. The elder pushed the young one's head down, forcing him to look. No words, only the command to see. Then he turned stones near the bush roots, finding a thin flat rock and a heavy round one. He handed them over, showing the striking motion, teaching how to make a blade's edge. No words, only gestures and eyes, teaching survival in the dead land. On a flat stone, they sat facing each other. The flat rock on a thigh, the round one in hand. The first strike rang out. Stone cracked. Fragments fell. He gestured to change angle, showing the strike point. The dry clack echoed. A sharp shard flew out. The young one picked it up. The edge sliced his skin, blood bright red. He looked, nodded. Both stood, shadows long on the ground. The shard gleamed under the sky. The tribe moved on spears on backs, new blades in hand. 2 rows of footprints, large and small, led toward distant smoke. The primitives crouched low, moving slowly over dry stone. They reached the cave's mouth where the air was thick and cold. Pungent smell spread the scent of the great porcupine. The wind shifted, carrying its heavy musk. Before the cave, silver, leaved bushes shimmered in the dim light. The young one gripped his spear, muscles tense. The elder behind him caught his arm, signaling to stop. His eyes fixed on the darkness inside, where breath and faint rustling echoed. The tribe stood frozen, backs rigid, only the wind and the smell of flesh in the air. The ground trembled, stones sliding from the edge. From the cave came a rustling roar that grew stronger. A vast shadow crawled out, quills bristling, body shaking like living stone. The giant porcupine halted, breath blowing white clouds. Each quill vibrated, making a dry hiss. The primitives stepped back, eyes wide, hands gripping spears. No one spoke. Dry mud flaked from their skin. The beast growled low, firelight glinting in its black eyes. The tribe understood silence could save no one now. The young one roared, hurling his spear with all his strength. The tip struck the thick quills, bounced back, shattered. The shaft split, fragments scattering. Great porcupine turned, eyes black and burning, shrieking loud. The air quivered and the ground sank. He stood frozen, broken spear at his feet, breath choking. The beast swung its body, tail sweeping across, smashing trees, wood splintering. The shriek echoed through the cliffs.
The
tribe shrank behind trees,
porcupine,
fists
Prehistory
tight.
asserts its dominance.
Such power could not be pierced by spears only outwitted by survival's cunning. The beast charged, its body trembling like waves. Earth cracked. Stones flew. She was pulled back, sliding behind rocks. The hiss came close. The wind shifted. Human scent drifted toward the beast. It inhaled sharply, then roared. The tribe fled, climbing trees, nails clawing bark. Quills struck trunks, branches snapped, dust rained. From above, he broke a dry branch, sharpened it. A stone blade flew from his other hand, striking the gap between quills, leaving a thin red line. The beast recoiled, hissing long. The tribe stayed high, breath held, waiting for the shadow to fade, for the forest to fall silent again. The tribe pressed against the ground. Breaths short, eyes tracking the great porcupine circling the basin. Each step shook the earth. When the sound faded, they crawled across stones, bodies low. Gravel slid, a faint noise. The beast stopped, turned, shrieked. He shoved another aside, ran. Rocks on the wall collapsed. A boulder fell, crushing his leg. The impact thundered. Dust filled the air, choking breath. beast approached, claws sinking into soil, musk thick. He strained to lift the rock, but it would not move. In the dark crevice, the young one hid, eyes peering into dim light. The beast drew near, earth pulsing with its breath. His hand touched the stone knife. Sharp edge cutting skin, blood seeping, yet he held tight. He looked up at the cliff. A large rock rested loose, edge cracked, dirt falling grain by grain. Faint light glinted on the grey surface. His gaze fixed on the fracture, breath slow. He knew not by skill, only by the mountain's own stone could the beast be slain. Climbed the slope, hands gripping, feet slipping, breath harsh. Each move stirred dust. At the ridge, he found a thick branch, wedged it beneath the cracked rock, the other end jutting out. Both hands gripped, heels dug in, muscles straining. The creak echoed, dirt falling. Below, the beast looked up, eyes wide. He arched his back, veins bulging. The branch cracked louder, the cliff split further. With no retreat left, he gave one final push, stomping, shouting through the burning air. The crack thundered. The giant rock fell. Earth shook. Wind burst. Dust veiled the basin. The clash of stones echoed, then silence. The beast was buried beneath the rubble, shadow lost in haze. He lay slumped on the ledge, breath burning, eyes open. Below, another primitive still trapped, trying to free his leg. He slid down, hands touching hot stone. Only the sound of rolling rocks and wind through crevices remained. The tribe did not cheer. They stared toward the fading dust, where the forest had just swallowed the giant porcupine. Dust covered ground and trees. The giant porcupine stood in the valley, grey, coated quills heavy with ash. its huge body like living rock. It inhaled deeply scenting humans, blood, burnt earth. On the high ledge, he lay pressed against stone, eyes tracking every motion. The beast stepped forward, gravel crunching, then stopped. It lifted its head, stepped back, eyes scanning the rock fall. The tribe held breath, bodies tight to stone. No movement. Only dust falling and heavy breaths. The beast stood between two fears, the living and the dead earth. He slid down the cliff, hands gripping, feet scraping rock. The faint noise echoed, and the beast raised its head, eyes glowing red in firelight. He rolled aside, grabbed a broken branch, wedged it beneath the stone, trapping the other. Both hands gripped, arms strained, heels digging deep. A dry creak sounded, the rock trembled. He pushed harder, body tilting, veins taut. The rock shifted, just enough. The trapped one pulled free. They fell together, breathing white mist into the cold air. The tribe trudged through gravel, shoulders touching, bodies heavy. A trail of blood dotted the stones. Behind, a hiss, the beast circling the rocks. Each claw step lifted dust. Stones fell from cliffs. He supported his companion, leaning to balance. Above, cracks widened. Stones dropped before the beast's snout. It stopped, exhaled, stepped back. The valley fell silent. The two moved on, never turning. The beast stood amid haze, head lowered, breath steaming, then turned away, fading into the mist. Morning light pierced the thin dust. Two figures emerged from the basin, bodies covered in dirt and dried mud. One nearly carried the other, holding a hide pouch of silver leaves. They stopped on a high ledge, gasping. He set the injured one down, looked at the swollen leg. No words, only a hand placed on the shoulder. The rough, dusty palm-touched skin. Cold wind swept past, carrying the earth's scent away. They looked toward the ruined valley. Light slid across the rock face, glinting silver, the last trace of the long night.